Am I the a-hole for telling my wife it is time she went back to work? My wife has been out of work since 2018. She had a mental breakdown during her 5th year of teaching. She has been going to therapy since, and we started marriage counseling during COVID. Reason for marriage counseling was because she thought I was pushing her too hard to go back to work before her and her therapist thought she was ready. I tried to explain many times that was not my intent, but realistically speaking, for me to keep up with expenses and retirement contributions, I pretty much have to take on extra shifts which sometimes clock in over 18 hours a day, and on average I have been pulling 84-hour weeks. I have been doing this since she stopped working. We recently had a fight cause I had an extremely rough week and had the conversation again about her going back to work. She opened up with the same line she always does: we do not feel it is the right time yet. She feels I have made great progress, and if I rush it I run the risk of losing it. We are her and therapist. I told her I really do not give a f what her therapist has to say, and I am sick of you hiding behind her words whenever this topic comes up. She started to cry, telling me she doesn't like being this way either and I am belittling her due to suffering from mental health issues. I replied saying I do not indeed belittle you or not take your issues seriously. The problem is I am running myself ragged, and what happens if I have a mental break? Do you think I will have the luxury of not working? No, I will have to push through my demons. She said her therapist warned her this would happen sooner or later. I would try to manipulate her into doing something she was not ready to do. This is when I really lost it and just let it all out. I did not say anything kind. I told her she insults me for thinking what I am doing is manipulation. I told her I am working these extra shifts so she can be home and bull SHT playing games. I told during this entire time you have not even made an effort to improve on certain skills. I told her she can still not cook to save her life, and that was sick of coming home after 12 or 18-hour days just make us dinner, cause her idea of making dinner is pretty a pre-made in the oven or ordering out. Among other things, she stormed out the house crying, yelling and shouting how I am a piece of poop, and rather see myself comfortable versus her getting better. So here I am. I do not feel at the core I am wrong, and while what I said was harsh I think it did have to be said. So Reddit, was I the asshole here? Hey, I appreciate the replies, going to leave a quick update to answer and clarify what I can. I apologize if I missed something. Thanks nonetheless. Yes, I have been to a couple of sessions with my wife and her therapist. TBH, it largely felt I was getting ganged up on. My wife brought up how I was always tired, so I explained I am working harder to maintain our home. When I suggested part-time work would allow me to work less, their counter-suggestion was to cut things like saving for retirement, and hold off on paying off debt, and tackle such things after my wife gets better. Then I suggest renting out the house to cover the mortgage and we downsize to an apartment. Her therapist said such a drastic change to her environment could have a negative impact on her depression, and advises against such major life-changing events. During another session she brought up how my suggestion she tries cooking to save his money so we do not order so much. She felt insulted because in terms of money coming in I am making slightly more than our combined income, and she was able to cover her expenses, so she does not understand why we are having such a hard time. I was honest, it is less to do with money per se and more so the fact the amount of hours I have to work to maintain the income. I told her I pretty much am working 2 full-time jobs. The cooking or doing things around the house dropped fairly quickly and became a critic on how I cannot manage money since I am making more, yet I never had issues when she was working with how she spent. More or less every session became what I could do to help my wife, and I get it, her therapist has to look out for my wife and generally my concerns are small compared to my wife's. My wife is not a huge fan of our marriage counselor because she offers suggestions that go against her therapist. My friend has also suggested I speak with a lawyer to see exactly what my options are. After reading many of the comments and thinking back on everything I think I'm going to do that. I love my wife and I know she is sick, but I am no good to anyone if I keep up this pace.